All right, so today we are going to learn about the imperfect tense. The imperfect tense, what's that about? Well, it's imperfect, okay? It's not quite perfect. I'll tell you more about the imperfect past tense. But let's hear if this guy's work today.
What are you wearing?
Hey, Chiquita, do you like my costume? I'm going to be an Aztec warrior in the school play.
I didn't know you were interested in acting, Pablo. Since when?
It all began a long, long time ago. Cuando era más joven, trabajaba en la biblioteca de la ciudad donde vivía. Mis amigos venían a verme y hablábamos de todo. Ah, yes, those were happy times.
That job sounds perfect for you, Pablo. You love to talk. So when did you quit?
Well, it was a library, Petey, and I was talking all day. Think about it. And, I didn't exactly quit.
Now I get it.
That's when I decided to become an actor.
Why is that?
Because that's a job where you get paid to talk.
Okay, so these guys talk about the past. If you notice, they were referring to things that were going on in the past. Okay, so what is the imperfect tense? The imperfect tense in Spanish is referring to the past tense, and it's called imperfect because there's not a specific time when it happened in the past. Sometimes you talk about the things that happened before, maybe happened to you more than once, it happened in the past, but you cannot really narrow it down to one time. Maybe it happened more than once, okay? Or you're talking about something that happened that was going on at that time in the past. Or maybe you are talking about how things used to be, how things were. When you're referring about time in the past, then you use the imperfect tense. And the imperfect tense is really easy, okay? All AR verbs I call them the blah, blah, blah. I call them the blah, blah, blah because they also have blah, blah, blah. They all end with aba. And all the ER and IR verbs, they're the tortilla chips, the tortilla, because they all end with ia. You get to keep the stem, meaning the beginning of the verb. You replace the ending as usual, and if it's an error, you put aba. Okay? If it's an ER or IR verb, you put a tortilla, you put ia. Okay? Now there are some variations based on the subject of who's doing the action. But let's read what this says. The imperfect is another past tense in Spanish. How do you use it? Well, the imperfect is used to describe something that was not perfected, okay, or not completed in the past. You use it to talk about something that was happening at the time, okay? I was running down the street, okay? I was playing basketball. Talk about something you used to do. I used to go to the park all the time. She used to send me flowers. Things that used to be. But as you notice, the sentence that I'm saying to you, they're not perfect, right? When I say, I used to ride my bike in the park, that implies that I did it in the past, yes? Also implies that I did it more than once, right? I used to ride my bike more than once. When? When did that happen? In the past. But when? Exactly when? Who knows? It just happened in the past. That's why it's called imperfect, because it doesn't have a specific time. Okay? Now, listen to this sentence. Yesterday at 7 a.m., I got up and I rode my bike around the neighborhood. What I just described, that event that I described, Does it have a specific time? Is it talking about one event or something that happened more than once? One event, right? That's the preterite. That's what we've been learning. That is the difference between the two of those. Okay? One is perfected, preterite, and the other one is not specifically when it happened. Okay? The news. The news are given to you in the preterite, the past tense. Okay? Because they're specific, supposedly are facts that happen, right? That's what they give you in the news, right? Until lately. But anyway, that's a different topic. Stories that you read in children books, they tend to start like this. Once upon a time there was a princess. Okay, she used to play soccer, but she decided to play basketball. Then a big dragon came and smoked her. And now she will no longer plays basketball. Now she just, anyway, I'm just making that up. So that is a story, right? Was it a specific event? No. Once upon a time, imperfect, happened in the time. Nobody knows exactly when. So that is the imperfect tense. Now, you also use the imperfect to say how someone used to be. Okay? I used to be a very little chubby boy as a kid. I used to have hair as a kid. I used to have dreadlocks like yours used to be, right? To describe somebody, how somebody used to be, you use the imperfect, okay? How my house used to be very big. My house was, pink. To describe how things used to be, then you use the imperfect. Also, to tell time in the past tense, you also use the imperfect, okay? So here are of the imperfect tense. If I could roll this up a little bit too much. All right, so you have estar. Let me move myself this way. So I'm out of the way right here. So estar means to be, right? It's an AR verb. You see that, right? So for yo, I used to be or I was, using the imperfect, is está. You keep the stem and you put aba, estaba. That's why I call it the blah blah blah, right? Tú, estabas. You have an S. You used to be or you were. Usted, él, and ella, social, they share the same form of the verb. Estaba as well. Notice that yo, él, ella, and usted use the same form of the verb. So what is recommended is for you to put the pronoun in front, the subject, or the name of the person that is doing the action, or used to do the action, or was doing the action. Okay? Estábamos, you keep the stem, and just put habamos. But please do me a favor. Make sure that you get rid of the AR. Okay? Before you put the aba or the habamos or the abas or the aban in there. Okay? Otherwise, you will sound really weird. Vosotros estabais, y'all used to be or was or were. And ustedes, ellos, and ellas, as usual, they share the same N. And the ending is aban with an N. Estaban. They used to be, you all used to be, or you guys were, or you all were. That's what it translates. Now, notice these ones, ER and IR verbs. Hacer is to do, and salir is to exit, to get out. they both, ER and IR verbs, share the same endings. Okay, they all do. And like I said before, I call them the tortilla chips verbs, because they end with ER. Hacía, yo hacía, yo salía, tú hacías, tú salías, él hacía, ella hacía, usted hacía, él salía, ella salía, usted salía. Nosotros hacíamos, nosotros salíamos. Vosotros hacíais and vosotros salíais. And then you have ustedes, ellos and ellas, hacían or salían. Notice that these verbs do have an accent on the I. Okay, algo. So when you pronounce it, you say ia, salía, comía. But please don't mix them up. Some people will put an estia. That would not be right. Nor would be asaba would be incorrect. If it's an ER verb or IR verb, it's the ia. If it's an AR, it's aba. Okay? Now, there are others irregular verbs, like the verb said, ir and ver. Very important. So before we get to that, look at this sentence. It says, él estaba aquí cuando yo hacía el pastel. He was here at that time. That was going on at that time. When I was making the cake. So to describe things that were going on in the past, you use the imperfect. Okay? He was here when I was making the cake. Él estaba aquí cuando yo hacía el pastel. Now, the only three verbs that are irregular in imperfect tense are these three: ser, ir, and ver. Ser means to be, is the other one, right? Because you have estar, right? And then you have ser. Ser is irregular. Estar is the one that you use to use location, how you used to feel, things that could change, right? And ser is to talk about things, characteristics, okay? Things that are not changing anytime soon, okay? So, era means I used to be, or I was. Tú eras, you used to be. So this one is the one that you describe to describe how someone used to be. Characteristics of a person or characteristics of a place. And also the time, okay? Eran las 5 de la tarde. Eran las 6 de la noche, de la mañana, okay? So, era. Eras, you used to be. Era, again, en el yo, él, ella, and usted, they share the same form of the verb, so you have to be careful by putting the name of the person that is doing the action or the subject, the pronoun. Éramos, you used to be. Erais, vosotros dicen vosotros, you used to be. And eran, they used to be. Remember, these forms are for the verb ser in the imperfect. Also, the verb ir is irregular. Yo iba, I used to go, or I went, using the imperfect, not knowing exactly when. Ibas, you used to go. Iba, I used to go. Oh, sorry. He used to go, she used to go. So again, él, ella, usted, and the yo have the same form. Íbamos, we used to go. Ibais, they used to go. Vosotros used to go. And iban, they used to go. Okay, very important. These ones are very important for you guys to remember. Again, the verb ir changes, right? Okay, so ver is veía, is an ER verb. Veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, and veía. Notice that ir, even though it's an IR verb, it takes an AR kind of endings for the imperfect, okay? That's something you have to be aware. All right, today's activities, guys, is from page 204, activity 5, 6,